Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and just the journey to a slower, more simple life. Today I have a plan to make some homemade bagels as well as some homemade cream cheese. So I'm going to start that by getting the dough ready for the bagels. I already have about 1.5 cups of warm water in this bowl, and I'm going to get some yeast, and we're going to use about 2 3/4 of a teaspoon. So 2 and then 3/4 of yeast. I'm going to go ahead and start mixing that. Then we need a tablespoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons salt, and then 4 cups of flour. And I'm just going to give this a good mix together before I get in there with my hands to knead the dough. Alright, usually at this point is when I decide to get in there. When you're looking for that dough texture, you don't want it to be so floury that it's too dense, and so it'll be a little sticky on your fingers. But see how I have it on the counter and it's not just leaving a whole bunch of dough behind? That means we're in a pretty good spot with this dough. Not to say we won't have to add a little more flour to it, but it's looking good right now. And if you overdo the flour, you can always add a little bit of water back to your dough. I've given this a good knead, so now I'm gonna put a damp towel over the top and let this rise for a little bit. And while that is rising, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with making the cream cheese. Okay, so for the homemade cream cheese, we're gonna start with 4 cups of milk. I like to go with whole milk. That makes it more rich to me. Contrary to what you might think, you don't use cream for cream cheese. I'm gonna turn my stove on to a higher medium heat, and I'm gonna start mixing. And I'm not gonna stop mixing. This is kind of the delicate process. You want to get the milk to a kind of rolling simmer, but you don't want it to be boiling, because then it's gone too far. So we're going to just stir this continually until we get that simmer we're looking for. When it gets to that rolling kind of temperature, you are going to add some lemon juice, 2 or 3 tablespoons, but you're just going to add them one at a time, and then give at least a minute in between adding them. You don't want to add it all at once. This is kind of what it will look like. You want to just keep mixing. Do not stop. So this is what you are looking for. It is turning into curds now, as you can see. And so when you get to this step, you can turn your heat off and get ready for the next step. So I have a cheesecloth over a bowl, and I'm now going to pour my curds just like that. Perfect. So this is what you are looking for, with the solid separated from the liquid down below. And we're gonna let this cool, and then afterwards, then we can squeeze more liquid out of it. Something I like to do whenever I am draining anything through the cheesecloth is I like to kind of tie it off and then be able to hang it. That just gives it the opportunity to really get off of the liquid and really let gravity do some of the work. And so I do this even before it is cool enough to squeeze additional liquid out. Okay, so it is now cool. So what I am doing is basically squeezing the whey, that's what the liquid is, out of the curds. And you can definitely use whey for certain things, certain recipes. You can add it to smoothies. I think you can use it in a lot of like cracker recipes. So you don't have to just pour out the liquid, which is the whey. You can use it for plenty of things, but the main focus I am focusing on here is the curds, because that is what is going to make our cheese. So for some cheese recipes and for like butter, for example, you really want to get all the whey out. It's pretty important that you do for it to last in storage, like in the fridge. But when it comes to cream cheese, it's something that, you know, doesn't need to have as long of a shelf life, and depending on the texture, when we get to the next step, you might even choose to add a little bit of whey back into it. So I'm just getting a majority out, and the next step is putting these curds in the food processor. So our goal here is we want a nice creamy texture, not a grainy texture. So we're going to process it and see how it looks, see if it needs a little whey added back into it. We're also going to add salt to taste. So let's get going. That's actually a really good texture already. I didn't have to do anything else to it. It just needs salt. And this is also where you would want to add any herbs if you want it to be an herbed cream cheese. I am going to keep mine plain, however. Let's try that. That's perfect. Oh my goodness. That is delicious cream cheese. I wish I kind of measured out how much salt that was for your sake, because that's perfect. But perfect texture, tastes so good. It tastes very much like, say, your standard big brand cream cheese, but without that, like, you know how stuff that's super processed has a taste to it and it kind of makes you not feel very good, but you can't quite describe what it is. It's all the good stuff about those store cream cheeses, but without that, it like tastes good for you. So I'm gonna get that put into a container, and that should be good in the fridge for a week, but I feel like we will get through it. And this is honestly a pretty quick process. I think that didn't take me really any time at all, and it's kind of broken into steps to let it cool and stuff so you can go and do other things. So if you're somebody who uses a lot of cream cheese, then I think this would be an easy thing to implement into your routine, just to save you from, one, having to put the money into cream cheese, and two, knowing that the cream cheese you're eating is actually good. And yes, in case the question may have been in your mind of homemade cream cheeses can be used in recipes that call for cream cheese, such as, you know, cheesecakes and stuff like that. Yes, absolutely it can. But like I said, I'm gonna get this put away, and then we just need to wait for our bagels to rise, get those put together, and then we can have this combo and it'll be great. But let's get back to the bagels first. All right, let's take a look. Ooh, that got nice and big. Okay, now it is time to turn our dough into bagels. So I'm gonna flour my surface a little bit and get that out. There. All right, now we got our donuts all donut shaped. I'm gonna let them rise a little bit in this shape, and I'm gonna have water on the stove to get ready to boil, because when making, I keep saying donuts, don't I? But when making bagels, you have to boil them before you bake them, and that's so that they keep in their shape that they're known for. So let's let these rise, and I will see you when they are ready to be put in the water. We have our oven preheating at 425, and I have water on the stove to get to that boil. So we will be all ready, and these will be ready to drop in as soon as that water is boiled. Look how nice they look. All right, we got our water getting up to a boil. So we are going to take one of our bagels and drop it in, and we're going to cook it for 1 minute on each side, and then it is going to be transferred over to the baking sheet where it'll be ready to go in the oven. So you might remember how small they looked at the beginning, but see, they are pretty nicely sized bagels now, ready to go into the 425-degree oven, and we are going to bake them for about 20 to 25 minutes. And they are all done, all out of the oven. Look how amazing they look. Okay, now it's time for the taste test. I got my homemade cream cheese and my homemade bagels that we just made, and I'm really excited to try this. Okay, here's for the moment of truth. This is so good. I'm so pleased with how this all turned out. Oh, I'm gonna eat this whole bagel. And supper soon, and I'm still gonna eat this whole bagel. Thank you guys for making bagels and cream cheese with me. It was awesome, and I'm so excited to share those skills with you and that knowledge. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing so that you can be along for the next one. One of my main goals is just to spread the knowledge of these very important skills with as many types of people as possible, so that they live on and so that we can get back to our roots, because as we all know, the world is going crazy. So please do consider subscribing, maybe sharing, and I hope to see you here next time. Okay, bye-bye.